Welcome, everybody, Crystal, Kyle, and friends. Today we're going to be talking to Sam Butler, who wrote an incredible article detailing the vision and the philosophy of what's called the New Right, which is like sort of like the tech oligarchs and billionaires, the Elon Musk types, the Peter Thiel types, the Curtis Yarvin, who's one of their philosophers that they look up to, and what it is exactly that they're trying to do. Like, what are they trying to do under a second Trump term? And the answer is, one, actually kind of surprising, and two, really scary. So looking forward to that conversation.
Correct. And he's also working on a documentary on the same topic. Yeah.
Wow.
So very knowledgeable guy. I'm really looking forward to hearing what's good, because I think this Elon Musk storyline is one of the most important ones of the election, because here's a guy who is the world's richest man, who has tens of billions of dollars of federal government contracts, who is enmeshed in all kinds of federal lawsuits, that he has been promised a plum gig with the Trump administration where he would have tons of power over things that affect his bottom line and affect all of our lives. So I'm really excited to talk to Sam about all of this.
He would be the head of the DOGE agency, Department of Government Efficiency. This is what Trump has said. And basically the idea is like, he's just going to fire everybody.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
I mean, can you imagine if George Soros was out there hopping around on stage giving out $1 million checks for Kamala Harris and promised this government-wide powerful position to basically do whatever the hell you want with all of the agencies? Can you imagine the freak out? But because it's Trump and because the right doesn't care when it's their guy, and because Trump is held to a different standard in general by everyone, it's like, it's a story. I'm not going to say no one's covering it, but not nearly to the extent or with the alarm that it deserves.
If that happened, Alex Jones would have an aneurysm live on air.
Yeah.
Like, he would have blood vessels popping in his eyeballs. He'd be screaming and shrieking. But no, since it's Elon, they're like, we like that one, so he can be as corrupt as he wants to be.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He can actively, affirmatively run Twitter for Trump's benefit, ban journalists who are publishing unflattering information. And remember the whole meltdown over the Hunter Biden laptop and Twitter's treatment of it, and alleging that it was being run in this partisan way. Now it's overtly being run in an explicitly partisan way by Trump's largest donor and the richest man on the planet, and no complaints, no concerns.
But he loves free speech, so when he bans people, it's for free speech.
That's right.
That's what I've heard.
He bans and cries the way that the IDF shoots and cries. Is that what it is?
I've never heard that before.
You haven't with the IDF?
No.
Yeah, that's their philosophy is they shoot and cry. They're so torn up about the violence they have to endure.
You should care about their emotional turmoil that they're going through.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so before we get into that interview, there was a story that broke the other day that I wanted to talk about. Haven't talked about it yet. I don't know if this is the thing that everybody was teasing as the big Trump story that could change the course of the election, but I saw Charlie Kirk and Jack Posobiec warning about, oh my God, they're going to do a deep fake video of Trump saying something. Don't believe it. It's not true.
Right.
And this in particular, I don't know if it's it, because there is no video of Trump for this.
Right.
It's just a story that we've heard. So I don't know if something else. So people are speculating he said the N-word. That's one speculation.
Yeah,
the other one is groping a teenage
on camera, a donor's
daughter of a donor,
yeah.
right? Groping one of them on camera. But there was some other video floating around from a while back where they claim it's that. I'm not sure if that's the thing either. I don't know, honestly. But there was one big story that broke a couple nights ago, and I want you to go ahead and break it down for everybody, because I think people are kind of missing what the big part of this story really is. So go ahead and let them know.
Indeed. So a former model has come forward and said that Trump groped her in 1993. And so she had been dating Jeffrey Epstein for several months. He's the one who introduced her to Donald Trump. She claims that Trump and Epstein were not just, casual, occasional acquaintances, but they were actually close friends. She described this groping incident as a, quote, twisted game that Trump was playing with Epstein. Guardian wrote up her allegations. Her name is Stacey Williams. She also spoke out publicly. Let's take a listen to a little bit of what she had to say.
Jeffrey Epstein expressed a lot of interest in me, and we started seeing each other. When Jeffrey and I would talk, he mentioned Trump frequently. He was clearly a close friend, and they were spending a lot of time together. Late winter, early spring of '93, I was on a walk with Jeffrey from his brownstone on the Upper East Side down Fifth Avenue when Jeffrey looked at me and said, let's go stop by and see Trump. And so we went to Trump Tower and went up the elevator, and moments later, Trump was greeting us, and he pulled me into him and started groping me. He put his hands all over my breasts, my waist, my butt, and I froze. As I absorbed what happened a few minutes later, I felt like that was some sort of sick bet or game between the two of them. I was rolled in there like a piece of meat for some kind of challenge or twisted game. And I felt horrendous.
So those are her allegations. I mean, it sounds very much like what Trump admitted to doing in the infamous grab her by the pussy video. Just grabbing her. Of course, it matches with any number of allegations. I have lost count at this point.
I have the number.
Of other women. So I don't think there's any reason not to take seriously what this woman is saying about what he did.
So at least 26 women have publicly accused Trump of either rape, kissing, groping without consent, looking under women's skirts, walking in on naked teenage pageant contest back when he owned whatever it was, Miss America, Miss Universe. I don't remember which one it was. So 26 different allegations. Now, the point I made on Twitter is, to me, honestly, and no disrespect to this woman, the big part of the story here is not even that Trump groped a woman in 1993.
Yeah.
I bet he groped 40 women in 1993. To me, the big part of the story is, by her account, Trump and Epstein were like besties. That's the big part of the story to me. Close enough where they had some sort of sick, twisted sexual abuse game that they played together. And if her story is accurate, the way she describes it, that like she was brought to Trump and Trump did that. And by the way, later on they say in the article that Epstein like yelled at her over it, which
like
again she said
for
it felt like part of a game. Like he wasn't actually upset; he was part of this game that they play. Like, why'd you let him do that or something like that, right?
Right.
So that's the thing. We knew Trump and Epstein were friends. We already knew that. There's videos of them together. There's pictures of them together. They pretend, oh no, I had a falling out with him over. That's what Trump says, right? But what we learned from this is, no, they were actually really close friends, right? So that's, to me, the big angle of this story is Trump and Epstein were like this, at the very least, in the early 90s. Who knew how long that went on? I think the number of times he's been on his jet, the Lolita Express, is 6 or 7 times. That's what we know.
Really?
And so my takeaway here is, I'm sure he was at the island, and I'm sure he was doing unspeakable things at the island. And by the way, where are all the right-wing conspiracy theorists?
Right.
Where are all the people who, bro, Epstein, bro, Trump's gonna release the Epstein files, bro, even though he was in there for 4 years and didn't release the Epstein files, bro. I wonder why he wouldn't release the Epstein files, but he's gonna release the Epstein files. I love how these people's brains are so warped and internet brain poisoned that they're like, they don't see the conspiracy right in front of their fucking faces.
Yeah.
That this dude who you guys idolize, that's the one, bro. And look, we're consistent. I've talked about Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton's got sketchy ass stuff with Jeffrey Epstein. They were buddies. I don't give a fuck what he says. Jeffrey Epstein has a picture in his house, or did when he was alive, of Bill Clinton in a dress pointing forward, right? So I have no problem saying Bill Clinton, guilty.
Well,
but at the same time, Trump, guilty. And they don't see it. They don't care. They don't care.
We know that both Bill Clinton and Donald Trump are sexual predators.
Yeah, of course.
So, like, it all fits.
Of course.
And remember when Trump got asked when he was president about Ghislaine Maxwell?
I wish her well.
And he said, I wish her well. And I was like, what?
Yeah, what does that mean? It means she's got fucking dirt on you and you're trying to get her to keep it quiet. That's what it means.
Yeah, and he got asked recently, too, about releasing the Epstein files. And he gave a kind of, like, non-committal answer and then just, like, changed the subject.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't it also on record that he had said something about, like, Jeffrey, he likes him young, even younger than I do, or something like that. Like, which also indicates, like, you knew what was going on here. So, yeah, I agree with you. And, of course, needless to say, if the same bit of information came out about Joe Biden, Bill Clinton, literally any Democrat, they would be going wild with it. It would be a giant bombshell. Instead, they'd just, like, not even acknowledge that it exists. In terms of, whether it's the story that has been built up, it is a weird situation. So you had Mark Halperin, who's kind of like right-wing coded at this point and like kind of tied in with the Trump campaign.
And he makes stuff up, let me just say.
And also makes stuff up.
Yeah, he makes
and
stuff up.
Tom Bevan, who's with Real Clear Politics, also kind of like right-wing aligned, but you know, some mainstream credibility. Those were the two that were like, I've been shopped this story that could be campaign ending for Trump in advance of this coming out. And then you had the just like right-wing influencers that you referenced, like Charlie Kirk and Jack Posobiec and whoever, who were like, don't believe anything, an AI deepfake is going to come out, et cetera, et cetera. So needless to say, Trump's campaign has not ended yet. So this was not, in fact, a campaign ender. But yeah, I don't know if there's still something out there that they're worried about coming out.
Yeah, and let me just reiterate this point. You have conspiracy-obsessed right-wingers who say stuff like, Trump's going to release the JFK files,
Right.
Trump's going to release the Epstein files.
Right.
Well, he was in there for 4 years. He didn't release the JFK files. He didn't release the Epstein files. They said, oh, he's going to pardon Julian Assange and Edward Snowden to stand up to the deep state.
Yeah.
He didn't pardon
How'd that
Julian
work
Assange.
out?
He didn't pardon Edward Snowden. He didn't stand up to the deep state. By the way, he's not going to release the
He's
JFK
the one who
files.
charged Julian Assange, you know?
Yeah, I know. So the JFK files, he's not going to release if he gets back in there. The Epstein files, he's not going to release. They're, you know, this is who he is. And this idea of him like standing up to the deep state, he packed his administration with the deep state. That's who John Bolton is. That's who Mike Pompeo is. That's who Gina Haspel is. Like his entire apparatus was deep state officials, right?
Yep.
And so I can't for the life of me, because if you take these people seriously, these right-wing conspiracy theorists, then you'd say, okay, they genuinely believe all the stuff about, you know, about George Soros and the globalists and this elitist cabal running the world and the Epstein files, and they're really interested in that. But then when there's like smoking gun stories of the guy they support being directly linked to this stuff, they just go, nope, fake news. And it's like, at this point, I can't respect you. I can't take you seriously, because you clearly don't actually care about or believe in the Epstein stuff. Because if you did, you would say, yeah, look, Trump is buddy with Epstein, so now I can't vote for Trump, right? If these guys had some self-respect, at least they'd be like, I don't know, go vote for fucking Chase Oliver or some shit like that, because there's no pictures of Chase Oliver with Jeffrey Epstein, right? But they can't do it. They can't do it because they're in a fucking cult. That's what a cult is.
Yeah.
Alex Jones, I mean, for all of his flaws, the Alex Jones of, let's say, 2000, he would take one look at how close Epstein and Trump were, and he'd say, this guy's part of the conspiracy. But now it's, no, I'm ride or die for this idiot, and because I'm an idiot too. Like, that's where we're at. These people are fucking stupid. I hate these people. I hate them. They're such hacks.
What do you think is the dividing line between the ones who know better and just the money's too good, and the ones who have fully like drunk the Kool-Aid and are in the cold? And if Daddy Trump, which is a nice transition to our next clip, if he says it's not true and it's fake media lies, etc., then it's not true. What do you think is the divide between those?
I think most people are Kool-Aid drinkers.
You mean in terms of
people.
influencers or regular people?
No, influencers are probably all liars. Everybody else are Kool-Aid drinkers, and they believe it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to your point, now let's move on to the next clip.
Yeah.
So, Tucker Carlson was at a Turning Point Action event in Duluth, Georgia. They're trying to get the youth vote out for Trump. Hilarious. And he gave this speech, and this moment, which I'm about to show you here, went viral for obvious reasons. Here's 2 minutes of the most awkward shit you've ever seen in your life.
If you allow your 14-year-old to light a joint at the breakfast table, if you allow your hormone-addled 15-year-old daughter to like slam the door of her bedroom and give you the finger, you're going to get more of it. And those kids are going to wind up in rehab. It's not good for you, and it's not good for them. No. There has to be a point at which Dad comes home. Yeah, that's right. Dad comes home. And he's pissed. Dad is pissed. He's not vengeful. He loves his children. Disobedient as they may be, he loves them. Because they're his children, they live in his house. But he's very disappointed in their behavior. And he's going to have to let them know. He's going to have to get to your room right now and think about what you did. And when Dad gets home, you know what he says? You've been a bad girl. You've been a bad little girl, and you're getting a vigorous spanking right now. And no, It's not going to hurt me more than it hurts you. No, it's not. I'm not going to lie. This is going to hurt you a lot more than it hurts me. And you earned this. You're getting a vigorous spanking because you've been a bad girl. And it has to be this way. It has to be this way because it's true. And you're only going to get better when you take responsibility for what you did. That's not said in the spirit of hate. It's not said in the spirit of vengeance or bigotry. Far from it. It's said in the spirit of justice, which is the purest and best thing there is.
Wow. This is actually my first. I just saw the headline.
Yeah, you never saw this clip before.
I watched the clip.
We just played it for Mac, good politic guy. Everybody check him out on YouTube and on
What
Twitter.
was Mac's reaction?
Exactly the same as yours. At the exact line where he mentions like
You've been a bad girl.
You've been a bad girl.
Thank you.
His eyes went like, and yours did the same thing at the exact same moment. It just keeps getting worse. You think like this is kind of awkward, and then he just keeps going, and you're like, oh.
The thing that actually struck me the most is how into it the crowd was.
Yeah.
When he said that, like, Daddy's coming home, they went wild. He really actually touched on something psychological that's going on that side of the aisle.
Listen, I was majoring in psychology before I switched to political science.
Yeah.
And let me just say,
Freud would have a field day with this shit.
Sigmund Freud was fucking right. Sigmund Freud was fucking right, bro.
Holy
when you
shit.
watch this, you're like, oh, there is weird, repressed, disgusting, psychosexual issues there. Weird repression going on.
It'd be one thing if Tucker said this and all the crowd was kind of like, and also I don't think if the crowd had responded in this way that he would have like
leaned into it as much.
But he's like, oh, they're feeling this. I'm gonna give him all of it.
Daddy's gonna spank you. Daddy's gonna spank you real good.
Not out of vengeance, but because you've been a bad girl, and he's gonna spank you out of a sense of justice. Like, who is you also in this analogy? Because it's sort of implied that it's like, you know, the enemies, I guess.
Trump spanking Democrats.
Yeah,
right?
But then it's also like the audience is also like, oh, maybe I get to be one of the ones getting spanked, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. There was a lot
disturbing, right?
There was a lot going on there. But it totally fits with this sense of like, you know, there are a lot of people who just want that like daddy dictator figure of just like Trump when he was trying to appeal to women. Remember he said that thing about like,
I'll be your protector. Right.
You know, that's what he's tapping into is this just like, I want you to come in and just take care of me and do whatever you think is right. And I don't want to have to think about it anymore. And, you know, they want that daddy figure. I mean, you see it in some of the worship of various like online figures too. There's that similar yearning for just like, tell me Jordan Peterson how to live my life and how to like exist and just like make it all okay. And yeah,
to be fair, I think all these guys have lost the juice. I think they're just sad shells of what they used to be in terms of their influence. That goes for Tucker, that goes for Jordan. I honestly think it even goes for Trump. I mean, it feels like the fever to some extent has broken, that he's gone so extreme and he's lost his mainstream appeal, so all that's left is the cult. But to your point,
the Groypers left him, so, you know, a key base has fled.
Their daddy is Nick Fuentes. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But, like, to your point on authoritarianism, yeah, there's an actual political point there, right? That this is the mindset. It's literally undemocratic, small d democratic.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, give me somebody who can fix everything, and I don't want to have to think, I don't want to have to do it, I don't want to have to partake. Let daddy come here and fix it. But the other part of this is, and this I couldn't get out of my head listening to his awkward, creepy sexual rant, is, guys, it wasn't that long ago we learned Tucker's real thoughts on Trump.
Right.
Right? And this is to your point about how these guys are liars.
Yeah.
He's not an actual Kool-Aid drinker. He's a liar. He's lying and grifting for money and for power and for influence. Because we learned in the Dominion lawsuit, we learned from the internal stuff that got leaked, the emails, the text messages, Tucker hates Trump as much as I do with the stuff he said. He said stuff like, I hate Trump with a burning passion. I can't wait to never talk about this guy ever again.
Yeah.
Nothing good ever came out of the Trump era. This is his words, not mine. Right? And then now here he is doing some weird sexual fantasy thing about people getting spanked and daddy's home to lay down the law and bring justice. It's like, but another point, so I heard somebody else made, I forgot whether it's Hassan or Felix, but they were like, does Tucker want to fuck his daughter? It kind of sounds like that's the way he's talking. It's like, is that what he wants? And they were like, that's what I'm getting out of this clip. So I don't know, man. This is disturbing to say the least.
To your point about Tucker's like real thoughts about Trump, I mean, Elon's the same. Like he said previously that he can't stand Trump, that he thinks he's an idiot, all this stuff. But now, because he thinks there's something to be gained for him personally out of his association with Trump, out of being put in this position, whatever, suddenly he's, on stage jumping for joy and doing everything he possibly can to boost this person. So, yeah, there's a good bit of people who are smart enough to know better and do actually know better, but think they're just going to feed these idiots what they want to hear. And, we take for granted, like to make a more meta point, we just take for granted the status of like having a somewhat democratic country to the extent that it is. And it's easy to forget how new that is. We couldn't even claim to actually be a democracy until after the Civil Rights Act. That is extraordinarily recent. And you have a significant percentage of the population that is like, yeah, I'm kind of done with this tomorrow. Like, if you just have the right person in there that I like, which for many of them is Trump, like he can be a dictator on day one, as he said multiple times that he wants to be, and that's totally cool with me. So it we shouldn't assume we're any different than any other group of people who like are comfortable with the strong man coming in and dismantling democratic institutions in front of our face.
And yeah, I should also point out, it's all fun and games about wanting your strong man to be the leader until your strong man gets in there and cuts your Social Security and now you're living in poverty. You know what I'm saying? Like, they think they want that. They don't want that.
Or like
they don't know what that entails.
Someone love, whatever, is part of the mass immigrant roundup deportation.
Yeah, you could point to any of a number of things. I mean, these are the same people who want to destroy the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, get rid of the NLRB. So yeah, you want your strongman dictator until they bust up your union and you no longer have a union. You want your strongman dictator until your pension gets taken away, right? Like, you think you want it, you don't actually want it. These people don't give a fuck about you.
Not at all.
They're not interested in what you have to say about what would make your life better, right? So if you want to own your libs into getting your own life ruined, that's not a good path to go down.
Yeah, not for any of us.